Hello, beer tubers. Welcome to yet another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets, carrying on the Hobgoblin escapades. As I said in my previous Throwback Thursday video with Wychwood Hobgoblin, I had a couple of variants to review. One to revisit and do another Throwback Thursday, and one just to try because I never tried it. And again, this is a macro brewery these days. This is owned by Marston's, that is now part of Carlsberg. And I even think this bottle has Carlsberg mentioned. It says Denmark. So if I peel it, see, that's the problem. Carlsberg breweries, yes. So I can't see more. It's just probably because they're listing all the involved, people or whatever. Like it says Wychwood Breweries, Carlsberg Breweries, and I'm sure it's also going to say Marston's somewhere on that label. But yeah, as you know, Carlsberg is one of the biggest breweries in Europe, and they're Danish, hey, like me, but they buy out a lot of stuff, and they buy a lot of these classic breweries in the UK through that merger with Marston's. So Marston's is before Marston's got a lot of shit in the UK because it's one of the biggest conglomerate kind of English brewers, and they make like a lot of pedigree. Marston's pedigree. That's probably their most famous beer. I tried it. I loved it back in the day. I'm not sure how that beer is these days. They got like Doom Bar from Sharps. They got like loads of brands in their portfolio. So they bought up loads of different small breweries, and now they've been bought up by an even bigger brewery. So they make mainly supermarket beers, a lot of the brands, I think, under the Marston's portfolio. And I actually rather enjoyed Hobgoblin still. That was still fairly decent. I was surprised. But in 2023, last year, Carlsberg decided to close Wychwood. So the brewery doesn't exist anymore. It's just part of their brand. And this is a bottle from, I think it's actually from December. So it's not exactly fresh. But that's often how it is with, as far as I remember, a lot of the English beer. It's always been like quite a few months old when we got it in Denmark. And this is bought in Germany. But let's see how it is. This is their take on English IPA. I think Wychwood used to brew IPAs. Not a lot, but they did have an IPA or two, but they were never called Hobgoblin. But for some reason, Marston's decided that let's just call all our beers the same thing, Hobgoblin, and then Hobgoblin IPA, Ruby beer, stout, whatever. Like, so it's just all beers are called Hobgoblin besides like two, which I think is weird. Like, that's just like, this is our best-selling brand. Let's just call everything the same. Like, doesn't that take away from the brand? I don't know, but they've just decided to do that. So this is Hobgoblin IPA, English IPA with English and Pacific Northwest hops. So we've got some American hops in here, but I'm sure it's going to be gentle. So, but yeah, let's check out Hobgoblin IPA. So it pours a color that I think of when I think of British IPAs, this rust orange kind of copper color. It looks like there's some crystal malt in here. It's got a white head. Let's check out the aroma. Smells a lot like orange marmalade. It does not smell half bad, but you know what it kind of smells like? It smells like Carlsberg Yakima IPA or from Royal, their Albany IPA, which is with Mosaic. It smells along the lines of something like that, where it's like a generic base beer with American hops, or just like a generic whatever cheap supermarket IPA with American hops. It smells a bit like that. Like, there's some toasty toffee kind of nuances underneath, and there's definitely a lot of marmalade, which I think is a combination of hops and the English yeast. But it's actually rather mild on the aroma, very perfumey. Actually, also some grapefruit. And it smells all right, but it smells very much like supermarket stuff. Well, let's try it. Cheers. And 50 IBUs, I think. International bittering units. That tastes exactly like fucking Mosaic Albany. Oh my lord. I definitely think Hobgoblin is better. It's not like technically flawed and a terrible beer, but it tastes pretty freaking macro. Weak body, slightly toasty, caramelly, toffee notes. Surprising amounts of hop character left for it being not a fresh bottle. But it really tastes like English IPA trying to be a little bit modern. So you get some, American vibes because of those specific Northwest hops. But I remember in the past, when I went to the wharf back in the day, there was a lot of classic English breweries. They would use a touch of an American variety to boost their aromatics and have it a bit more fun. Like add a little bit of Cascade or something like Amarillo or something like that. And there was even a Crouch Vale was very famous for doing like a lot of like single hop American like English golden ales, which were great, but they were gently hopped and they were balanced. So it was like a nice showcase of the hops. It still tasted like a golden ale. It was not like over the top or anything. And this is not like over the top. It's bitter and it's dry. It's got like biscuity and bready notes. Like I think some people would even be like, "Oh, this is almost like West Coast IPA," but I think it's too like jammy and like yeasty, fruity to be like classic West Coast. But there's vibes towards it. It's something of a hybrid almost. There's American vibes with the grapefruit and the bitterness and like orangey notes, but then you get all the marmalade and toffee and stuff like that I associate more with like British stuff, and also like the perfumey kind of floral vibes must be like from British hop. And grassy. It's also grassy. A little bit of almost like a stale peachy flavor to it. Almost like if you've ever had like, you get like these granulates to make iced tea. Like these granulates, they look super weird, and you mix it with water. I think they have it in Aldi in Little in Denmark, and they're like, you mix it with water and it just tastes terrible. It's like almost like a fake iced tea. There's a little bit of like weird fake peach iced tea about it. It feels so much more macro than Hobgoblin, which is weird. It's not a bad beer, and if you like bitter IPAs and you like those kind of supermarket IPAs, I think you'll like this a lot. I think you're gonna think it's great. I wouldn't mind, like if this was a supermarket beer and it was all I could get and I wanted an IPA, I would be decently happy with it. But it's definitely not the best you can get. In terms of a grade, so like this is not a half bad pint, but it's also not the most interesting IPA you can get. Like again, it's okay. I think it's a little bit better than Yakima from Carlsberg and also the Albany Mosaic IPA from Royal. But it's not like super exciting. There's something about it that feels a bit weak, soulless macro, but it's not like full-fledged. There's still some like richness and stuff going on in there. It's not like this, like just like watery swill that you get from a lot of macro products, and like you get that like soullessness. It's not entirely that. There's that English yeast character in there, which is quite nice. But it's just also not like something really, really exciting. A lot of brewers have done this. So I talked about like Fuller's, who also did one that was really popular called Wild River, which was like, was it with New Zealand hops or something like that? But there's a few breweries in the UK that have done that, where they try to make a classic British style and they just add a sprinkling of American hops. And it's funny because that's almost like what's going on with Pilsners and whatnot now these days. It's like classic Pilsner, but with a sprinkling of American hops. That's actually interesting, yeah, because that was a lot of British breweries doing that, just using New Zealand or English American hops to make their beers a bit more modern and exciting. So yeah, it's all right, 78 to 80 or something like that. I mean, it's nice enough. I would drink it again, but it's not something I'm going to bother with picking up again. So, but fun to try nonetheless, and I really hope to soon try like amazing, like world-class British beer, and like really, I need to go back. Really fresh cask ale that's just tapped, really banging. I mean, we can get cask in Aalborg. I can go to the city, I can have my fill of cask, but it's not too much like exciting stuff they got. I think the best stuff they have, if they have something, is like Timothy Taylor's or St. Austell's, but it's been a while since they've had like all these small obscure, like in the past, the Wharf where I used to go, I've done so many reviews there if you want to check that out. They used to get so many obscure, cool, small English breweries on cask, which was so fun. They just got so much great stuff. And for a long time, it's been a lot of the same that they've always gotten. But yeah, hey-o, that's how it is. But this is all right. Check it out if you like English beers. Check it out if you like kind of supermarket beers, I guess. But it's all right. I would give it a small recommendation. So if you guys had a chance to try Hobgoblin IPA, let me know what you thought of it. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page, and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. I'm going to say cheers in some English IPA, and see you guys in another beer review.